So you just moved.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you move to? Tell us all about it.
I'm in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. I don't know. No one ever told me how beautiful this city was. It's really like there's a body of water out there. My apartment here has a lot more light, which I don't know how I didn't put it together before. I'm a light warrior. I need light.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colorado was a really beautiful chapter of my life where I learned a lot more about stillness. I've always lived in bigger cities. We moved here. I have a question. What made you move there? I moved there for my husband's work. So his work took me to Singapore, to Colorado, and now to Chicago. And each place has been a real different vibe and a different ride. And I think one of the yogic principles of non-resistance is what made each transition easier and fulfilling. When I moved to Singapore, my background was in Chinese medicine, and my goal in moving to Asia was to deepen my practice as an acupuncturist and herbalist and a healer in that capacity. But then when I got to Singapore, even though English is the national language, all things Chinese medicine are in Mandarin, full stop. Exams, everything. So there was no way for me to practice. And so I did what I always do. I just went to yoga. And then a teacher suggested that I teach there. And then I talked to Mr. Copper Crow and you about it. And I was sad that the yoga community in Asia at that point, they weren't into handstands and arm balances, because those are two styles of poses that are extremely fun and fulfilling to me, especially when you get to do it with friends. And so, if you build it, they will come. So I got to work.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember I was talking to someone about this last night, actually, like how you and I met and just our experiences. And this person had also spent some time in Singapore, and coming into teaching handstands and all of those, inversions and crazy poses, and some people, and not everyone, right? But some people being told, like, you can't do that, you're not ready. And then you came in with this, just like this ease. And you were like, my name's Marysia, and I like handstands. And I was like, oh shit. And then like some people were like, bye. And then they would come back because they were curious, right? So it's like, sometimes we hear things, we resist it. And then you go away, but it opens something, it kind of sparks something. And then if we're lucky, it came back around and you got to experience that with them. Or some people, they just jumped right in with you and were all about it. And then now they get it, And so it's it's our jobs to plant the seeds. And if we're lucky, we get to experience that person's karma and their growth, right? That they get to put out into the world. Yeah. And even that first class that I had with you, and that was one thing I knew, okay, this person, this woman, this girl, this yogi, this teacher, she's the real deal, because you didn't claim to own any of it. It was this is what I know to be true. And we're talking about the shoulder and the way the body moves, right? We're talking about just yoga in that sense, of asana. And you said, I know this to be true, and let's see if it works. And if not, we're going to figure something else out and then see how it works for this person. And it's for everyone, right? You don't own it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was yeah, okay, cool. There's enough room for everyone.
Yeah, that awareness is what actually gave me my voice, I think, as a teacher, because the bodies and the training at Pure Yoga Singapore, where we met and where I had the great fortune of teaching these incredibly dedicated students, but they were so well trained in different movement patterns and different ways of understanding their body, where when I was training in yoga, it was a group of most of us who were in our 20s, and it was all Yoga Works is a very strict methodology, and I quickly saw that wasn't working. Like, if I wanted to adhere to what I was taught, it wasn't giving students the gratification and the effectiveness that they wanted and that I wanted for them. I wanted to have friends to do handstands with, like, now. And so I shifted gears into the perspective of who I was as an acupuncturist, where in Chinese medicine, if you have a headache, I have a headache, and someone on here, Raul, has a headache, then I'm not going to treat you all with Advil. Like, that's not how Chinese medicine works. I'm going to learn what kind of foods you crave, what your sleep patterns are like, all different data I'm going to collect about you and observing you, the tone of your voice, the way you carry yourself. All these things indicate the manifestation of a headache. Yoga is really a lot simpler than that. Like, if someone is struggling with a handstand, I can just look at the shape of their body and say, like, oh, they're like really floppy in the shoulder joint. How do I create more stability? And that's when I got to work. And it became so fun because class was just continuous moments of discovery.